How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. My name is John Kelly with the Gandalf the Red.
Oh my
I had
God.
to remember. Gandalf the Red.
Here we go. With
Right
the
here with
Gandalf.
me. We got to make this happen, dude. Like, Gandalf the Red has to happen.
You can try.
I think it needs to happen. We're gonna keep pushing it. I don't know if anybody's gonna go for it, but I'm gonna keep pushing it.
My official trail name is Yosemite Sam, and I got a gift from a supporter, and it was a couple of things, but one of them was a tie that had different animated characters on there.
Yeah,
Yosemite Sam being the one that's featured. So that was
great.
super awesome, man.
I'm telling you, GTR. Gandalf the Red.
Gandalf the Red.
GTR.
If you don't know what he's talking about, you gotta go back and listen to the most recent episode.
Yeah, you have to listen to last week's episode because there's a whole thing in there. So, but I'm going to keep pushing this. I'm going to make this happen. You're going to have to change your channel from Jeremiah Stringer Hikes to Gandalf the Red.
A man could try.
Gandalf the Red. All right, so today we're going to do something different.
Yes.
We've never done anything like this on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about gear we like. We've had guests on for live streams and for podcasts, and we've done all this stuff. But today we're going to take a beloved piece of gear.
Yeah, I love it.
A beloved piece of gear, one that we've both used multiple times.
I hate it.
And we are going to find its fatal flaw. And we are going to explain to the company that created this piece of gear what they need to do to fix it.
Yes. And you know what? I think that people are going to like this. And if they
too.
do like it, then I think that we should do more, because there's a lot of pieces of gear that I love that are detrimentally flawed in one way or another. And if we could just fix the one thing,
just the one
thing, that's
just
all I'm
one.
asking. And I know that their research and development teams and their millions of dollars that they're paying them are so much smarter than I am, but I'm still going to rip it to shreds.
But are they? Because today we're solving all their problems for them. If anything, this should give us lifetime supplies of these pieces of gear.
And royalties.
I'm
asking for royalties. So
but if you would like to help out the channel and make this thing something where more people can hear it, you can just, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts right now, give us a big 5-star rating. Like, go out there and leave a comment. Let people know what you think about the podcast. Even if you don't like it, put something out there so people know about the podcast.
Yeah.
It helps to get the news out so people can find out about the podcast. More people can listen, and we get to make more content. And we've actually talked about taking this on the road, maybe doing some remote versions of this podcast. And so as the podcast grows, maybe we can afford to take some trips every once in a while to do these podcasts.
I'd love to do some like section hikes on the Appalachian Trail.
Ooh, yeah.
And then like set up at a hostel or two, and maybe talk to some people that we know that are hiking the AT through that section at the time, or people that have been guests on the podcast before that are hiking through there, or something along those lines. Because I think that
would be awesome. That would be awesome. I think we need to do it.
Yeah.
So leave a comment, give us a review, let us know what you think.
Yes.
Let's talk about this piece of gear.
Okay. So, spoiler alert: the piece of gear is the Sawyer Squeeze. And it is my favorite filter.
And it's not the Sawyer Mini.
No.
It's not the Sawyer Micro. We are talking about the almost bulletproof, like, ultimate filter that everybody seems to be using.
What percent of backpackers do you think that filter water, what percent of them do you think use a Sawyer Squeeze?
60-65%.
I was thinking the same. I was thinking like somewhere a little over 50%, and that is a majority. I mean, that is a lot.
That's a massive majority when you consider how many filters are out there.
Yes,
because there are people that use like the Grail bottles. I've got one of those.
And if you're backpacking on longer trails, if you look at all the pieces of gear that people are using at the beginning of the trail, you'll see a ton of different filters.
Oh, you've got pump filters. You've got life straws. You've got all kinds of different things that people have out there.
The life straw. So I was on this one trip, and I think, if I remember correctly, there's a couple of guys that I was friends with but weren't experienced with backpacking.
Yeah.
And so one of them was using the life straw, and we're on this trip, and I was like, why are you using that life straw? And they're like, well, I want to purify my drinking water. And I was like, but how do you carry the water with you? Like with the life, do you have to suck it into your mouth and then spit it in your bottle? So that's kind of gross. But there's no, you get what I'm saying? Or if you want,
I just got this like horrible vision of some dude like literally sucking water out of a pond or a creek and then spitting it into a bottle.
into this bottle.
Filling this up with spit laden water.
Isn't that disgusting?
Well, I mean, it's your own spit. It's in your mouth to begin with.
Still can't be that sanitary because you're going to be drinking it later. And
well, it came out of your mouth, right?
Yes, came out of your mouth.
Is already unsanitary.
No, but if you're hiking in the heat and the moisture, I mean, your mouth is already, hot.
There may be a fatal
moist,
flaw with what you're saying right there.
No, I'm saying
I'm
saying if you spit into this bottle and you just leave it, at some point it's going to mold.
You're not just spitting into the bottle. You're putting water in it.
I know,
that
you're
was in your
diluting
mouth. I mean, I don't know,
My
man.
point is it's not very sanitary to spit into the bottle and then to drink. That's your drinking.
This is what I'll say. I don't know if it's necessarily unsanitary. It just sounds gross.
It sounds gross.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I don't want to do it because I think it sounds gross.
I'll agree with you.
But I mean, it was in your mouth. So, I mean, how bad is it to take what was in your mouth, put it back in your mouth?
I asked him, how do you carry the water with you if you're using a life straw? And you can't. The answer is you can't unless you either spit it back in the bottle or
you use your bottle as a dirty water bottle and you put the straw in the bottle.
Exactly. Or the bottle.
Which that's actually not a bad way to do it.
Well, you can't carry this bottle and use an Nalgene unless, or not an Nalgene, but a life straw unless you have a separate container to pour the water in because the mouth on the bottle is not big enough for the life straw to go in.
But if you have a bigger one, like say, like I've got a bottle over there, I can't remember what the brand is, but it's like the 45 instead of what is this? The threading on this one? I can't remember the numbers.
I don't know, 22 or something.
Something like that. But the threading on those is 45 millimeter. And that'll fit perfectly.
Yeah,
and you can just drink right out of it.
Yeah, but the life straw, I assume, is going to weigh more than the squeeze. Wouldn't you think?
I've got one. It's not. I don't think it weighs more.
I think it'd have to be at least the same or more. It's bigger. I mean, it may not be as dense.
I think that's what it is. I don't think it's as dense.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the whatchamacallit filter, the one I like so much, the Be Free.
Catadine Be Free.
It's lighter than the Sawyer.
Yeah, but those bags, man, the bags that make it taste like latexy.
Well, I'm not talking about the taste. I'm just saying as far as weight, we're comparing. Life straw, you know, just the weight.
So,
but anyways,
the point isn't about the life straw. I was just telling a story of.
Yeah, let's talk about the fatal flaw of the Sawyer Squeeze. What is it about the Sawyer Squeeze that is a complete fail?
A lot of filters have this issue. If it is below freezing and you don't have some external form of heat, either the filter is somewhere near your body or like it is insulated somehow with an external form of heat, it's going to freeze. And that's not as big of an issue as not knowing that it froze. Because
and let's shoot straight. It's not the freezing itself that's the problem.
Right.
It's that when it freezes, water does something weird. It's the only thing that does this.
Not the only, but it's one of the only commonly used.
Okay, we'll say
substances.
that. Yes. Water expands when it freezes. While most things, when they get colder, they actually shrink. Water expands when it freezes.
Yeah.
And so what it's doing is it's breaking the fibers inside of the filter.
Yeah, and they're microscopic.
Yes.
So when the water freezes, without getting too scientific, and the molecular structure changes, I don't know if it, I guess it would be the molecular structure is changing. It's going into more of a crystal form. And,
right.
And that's making it bigger because it's creating space in between those molecules. I know somebody's out there telling me I'm wrong right now.
Well, that's why you're a math teacher, not a science teacher.
I'll just make it up as I go. So what happens is, like John's saying, it's ripping apart those fibers. And then when you go to filter through it, it filters completely normal. So I don't know.
The only way to know that it was not useful anymore was when you get sick.
Yeah, you get diarrhea, and then all of a sudden, well, I'm probably getting contaminated water. And who knows how long it would be before you got water that would make you sick. You could do the rest of the trail and have no idea.
Yeah, and logistically, if it never had water through it, you could freeze when it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Because all it's going to do is get cold. But when water gets in it, it's the water that's causing the problem.
Yeah. And how long does it take for the water inside to dry?
That I have no idea.
So how long, but when you get home from a trip and you back flush that filter, how long do you wait until you stick it in a storage bin? You say it's a week, 2 weeks,
It's not that long.
2 days?
It's like a couple days, maybe.
I
Sometimes I do it after a day, depending on how hot it is. We're in my garage right now. For people who don't realize that, if you don't see the garage door behind me, but uh, all my stuff is in the garage.
Mhm.
I have a space heater just to make sure that my water filters don't freeze and that kind of stuff. But I mean, in the summer, this garage can get up to like 100 degrees,
Yeah.
so I can leave it sitting, just leave it sitting out, and it's dry in a day.
I don't know how that works for the humidity. Seems like if you were can water evaporate in 100% humidity?
Well, it's not 100% humidity in here, so
Well, not right now, but in the Kentucky summer.
it's not. But it's not humid in here.
It's not humid in your garage?
No, because like there's a barrier between the outside and here.
Yeah, I don't know how the
Like,
humidity works and how it's captured and stuff. I
yeah,
just figured it would get just as humid in here as on the other side of that
no,
door.
it's not. You walk outside from being in here, and
Uh,
it feels like it's hotter outside, even if it's hotter in here,
okay.
because the humidity is just so thick outside.
Yeah. So my point is though, with the filter, um, once it freezes, then you don't know until you get sick. So
And you
I'm
don't even real unless the only thing that can let you know is when you try to use it and it doesn't go through because it's frozen.
yes,
So
yes.
that's the one way. Like typically, you're gonna know it's frozen and not to use it again because you're gonna try and use it. It's frozen. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you're done. Like, that's why you have Aquamira or, uh, you have some kind of tablets that you can put into
Yeah.
water purify. I can't remember some of the other names of them, but having something like that that you can put in instead. I think
Mhm.
it's was it potted aqua,
You can also use
potable
bleach.
aqua. Yeah, bleach is another one. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're like ever in a disaster situation,
Now,
you
people,
know.
what we're not saying is don't drink straight bleach.
No, we're not trying to. Well,
Drinking straight bleach is bad.
yes,
Just
I
saying.
think it is 1 capful per 1 gallon of water, and then let it sit. If I remember right, and this is definitely research this. Don't just do it because I'm saying it, because I'm trying to remember what I heard on Man versus Wild from like 2007 on Discovery Channel. Okay. I think it's
Wow, you even remember the year. That's impressive, man.
I'll just make it up as I go,
I
dude.
got you. I got you.
All the facts, fact check them because I just make them up.
There you go.
So I think it's 1 cap for 1 gallon, and you have to wait 1 hour.
Yeah.
I think that's it
It's like 30 minutes to an hour, something
for
like that.
bleach.
Yeah.
And then obviously on the tablets and stuff you buy, it's going to have directions.
And if you do it right, you don't taste the bleach.
I've never tried it.
I've
So I wouldn't know.
actually done it.
Yeah,
So,
I do know that if you're in a disaster situation, you can fill up your bathtub. That's clean water. Your hot water heater still has clean water, and your the commodes, like the back of the toilet, those have. I don't know if I'd consider it clean because there may be like rust and stuff in there from the plumbing
yeah.
parts. But if you had a backpacking filter, that's one of the best things about backpacking, dude. Is like you
You're
have a bug
prepared for
out bag.
disasters.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have a bug out bag. So you remember last year, whenever we had that big, or I guess it might have been earlier this year. I can't remember now, but there's like a giant ice storm. Texas's power grid almost went out.
Yeah.
Some people are out of electricity for 2 weeks. And I did want like a kerosene heater and generator and stuff, but I was like, man, worst case scenario, I still have like a 0 degree under quilt, and like I'm good.
And well, the other night, our power went out here in
Mhm.
Nicholasville, like literally 2 nights ago.
I bet you had 8 lanterns you could have
Yeah,
used.
I had 3 camping lanterns.
Mhm.
2 were just the little LED ones from Vaunt, I think is the name of the company, and you just pull them open.
Yeah,
And
works
had
fine.
2 of those out, had a camping lantern out. I was getting ready to pull out quilts just in case it got cold on the kids and myself and my wife.
Yeah. And
And we were prepared. I mean, we would have been fine.
yeah, you got a good bug out system if you get into backpacking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of overlap. And I get a lot of comments on the YouTube channel saying, hey, I'm more of a bushcrafter, I'm more of a survivalist. But I see like if I carry a BRS stove at 20 something grams
Yeah.
versus like a butane, like a big heavy Coleman stove, I could carry 3 knives instead of one of these giant stoves
Right.
when I could just have just a little one and a couple of
Of course, in the
canisters.
wintertime, you usually have a different kind of canister stove.
Yeah,
So, and that's really useful in a case like what we're talking about.
a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway,
let's get back to the filter. Now,
so the Sawyer Squeeze.
here's the flaw.
Yeah.
It freezes.
Yes.
And when it freezes, it's done.
Yes.
Throw it away.
Yes.
There's no future.
But the biggest problem is you don't know that it's frozen sometimes.
Right.
My thing is, what if I left it out on the ground? It got down to 29 degrees, maybe. I mean, I have my phone, but I slept through the night and I don't really know exactly the spot where I was camping at. Was it cold enough to freeze? I didn't have it in the foot box of my top quilt or whatever.
Yeah.
How do I know it's safe to use the next day? Am I
Right.
going to go waste another $30 and buy a filter?
So there's two things we got to focus on here.
Okay.
We got to focus on how do we know and prevention.
Yes.
Those are the two things.
Okay.
So let's talk about you. I know we've talked a little bit about this over lunch today.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things you think they need to do to allow kind of a warning system for this?
I think that there are two ideas that come to mind to fix the problem of not knowing if it froze or not. Solution number one, some kind of indicator that you can see from the outside of the filter. And I don't know what that looks like. Just like if you grew up watching Star Trek, you didn't know about the iPhone. I mean, they had some things in there and they're talking about future technology, but you can't really imagine it because it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
So I can't say what that would look like, whether it would be some kind of color coordinated system, whether it is some piece of technology that's integrated somehow. But I do have an alternative. You need some type of like professional wrestling, they'll look like they got a busted mouth, but they really bit into like a blood, like a little, they bite into the blood thing.
Actually, what they'll do a lot of times is they'll actually bite their lip on purpose to make it bleed.
Oh, well, I was talking about the little blood pill things.
Yeah, they actually don't do that.
Oh, okay. Well, I was completely mistaken, but I guess I'm not a big enough professional wrestler.
It's all good, man.
So, but you know what I'm talking about
Yeah,
when
I know
say
exactly
that.
what you're saying. Yeah.
So, like the little prank blood pill.
Yeah,
thing.
it's like if you're an actor, like they're not really bleeding in those movies.
Yeah.
You know,
you can bite into that. So you should have something like that somehow is in between the fibers, or some dye that comes out that shows, hey, the crystal structure of the water where it's expanded has broken this barrier, and then now it's dyeing the water a distinct color, so you know explicitly. The problem is, how do you make sure that that's safe? It's not going to fail.
What if Sawyer was to provide like a winter kit, and in the winter kit they have strips, so if you knew it froze the night before, you can get up in the morning and you can filter some of the water on that strip, and if there's any contaminants, it would give you a readout of there's giardia, there's this, you know what I'm like?
Yeah, like 8 common pathogens.
Yeah, and each one is triggered
catching
by different colors. So you have like you could filter some water onto the strip, let the water pour down the strip, give it like 3 minutes, and then it would give you a readout, like show you different colors of what might be in your water. And if it comes out blue all the way across, you're good to go.
We're spitballing here too.
Wouldn't that be a great option though?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's simple. You don't have to actually change the filter to do that.
And you don't need it every time that you go.
No, you just need it when it's cold.
Yes.
Just need to have those with you, be able to put that on there to test it in the morning first thing to make sure that overnight it didn't freeze.
So
save a lot of time, a lot of trouble.
It had to be cost efficient. So I would pay an extra, $2 or something with the filter to add on the winter package.
Right. Well, and I always come back to, one of the things you'll always hear is, well, put it in a Ziploc bag and sleep with it and all this. I get that. A Ziploc bag's bust open, and then you get water in your sleeping bag, and then you're ticked off, and then you're like wet and it's cold outside. So that's not a good combination.
Yeah.
And so why? Two things.
Okay.
Why hasn't Sawyer come out with caps? Why don't they not have waterproof caps that screw onto either end of it so that it seals the ends. So if you want to sleep with it,
Just
it's
throw it
not.
in there.
Yeah, you just throw it in with you. Then you don't have to worry about it. You know it's going to stay warm at night, but you also know you're not going to get wet. I mean, all you got to do is put some gaskets in the cap so that it's not going to leak any water out.
Well,
screw that into either end.
One end's already going to have an O-ring in it because it's the part that screws onto your bottle.
Right.
So
why
that end can be sealed by screwing in a coupling.
why don't they have end caps? Like,
they do have the snaps closed. I worry less about that.
I don't, but the snaps aren't going to help you because the snaps can come loose in your sleep. If you have to literally unscrew it, yeah, that's not happening in your sleep.
Yeah, especially with the O-ring in there because there's so much friction from that piece of rubber.
I just don't trust. It will never freeze if it's in your sleeping bag.
Unless you're not in a sleeping bag.
But even then, it shouldn't freeze.
I think it will. I think that this is a misnomer that without an external form of heat, something won't freeze. Don't you? Like, say, for example, it's wintertime, it gets dark at 5 p.m., and it's a cold day. The high is 38 degrees. You set everything up. You filtered your water. You're going to hang out around the campfire. And right now, your filter is above freezing.
Yeah.
And then you take it off your bottle or your dirty water bag or wherever you have it. You stick it in a Ziploc bag and you throw it in your sleeping bag. But you're not going to be in that sleeping bag for at least a couple of hours. I think that if the temperature drops and there's not some form of external heat like a hand warmer or something, or your body heat in that sleeping bag with it, it's still going to freeze.
Okay. So let me ask a question because I'm going with you. I agree with you on that.
Okay.
So what are the most important things about survival that you have to have?
You have food, water, and shelter.
Food, water, and shelter.
Yes.
So if water is so important, I keep coming back to these caps.
Yes.
The reason I keep coming back to them is because if you have the caps and it's not going to leak, you can wear it in your jacket against your body at all times.
Yes.
The thing will never freeze.
I like it.
Ever. And if it doesn't ever freeze, guess what you don't have to worry about doing? Testing the water because it's not frozen. And you don't, instead of leaving it in your backpack where you're hiking in this weather and it could freeze sitting in your backpack, you've got it in your jacket, knowing you're not going to be soaked from it leaking all over you. You get where I'm coming from? I just feel like there's got to be a way to pull that off.
I know, but I think
that prevents the issue.
I think that Sawyer doesn't want to do that because it costs more and they're not going to be able to charge enough for it. But also, like
you think 2 little caps are going to be that expensive? Because here's the thing, they're going to charge a lot more for it than what it costs to make them.
Well, I think that it's more complex. I think that we as human beings try to boil things down to their simplest because we only have so much brain power and we have to rationalize
I have
things.
no brain power?
No, Jeremiah? I said we only have so much. I said so much brain power, and we have to simplify things in order for us to comprehend them. You know, that's why there is a such thing as stereotypes. It's not because those stereotypes don't exist. Some people fit those molds and stuff. It's because just as it's human nature to like boil things down to the simplest.
Is it possible? Did you ever think of putting end caps on that filter before?
No, but you haven't let me finish.
Do you think it's possible that Sawyer never thought about that either? And that maybe, just maybe, the Backpacking Podcast is revolutionizing water filtering through the Sawyer Squeeze right now as we're sitting here.
One can only hope, but I'm
just saying.
I think they might have thought of that. I don't know.
They didn't.
They may not have. I don't know.
I'm claiming it. It's mine. I'm actually going to apply for a patent tomorrow.
I'll support you in that patent. I think that when you change things, there's trickle down effects. Right. So, like, if you change, I don't know in today's market how they package Sawyer's filters, but I do know that if they add something to it, they'll most likely have to change that packaging. And then the result of changing that packaging means that a number of other people either have to manipulate something in a computer, or you have people that are working somewhere that have to make some changes.
They may not though, because when they do the one, what is it? The one that has all the connectors and stuff in it.
It's probably just in like a big,
you can just
plastic container.
Yeah, I don't know that they'd have to change the packaging for that.
So they may not.
I'm just have to change a label,
but that's easy. I'm throwing it out there that it's not only the caps that have to change.
How about this? We'll throw this out there. if anyone is listening right now and you're an MYOG kind of person, which is make your own gear, if
And
you're
have
one
a
of those people and you have a 3D printer
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
and you want to start making these, please call me. I will buy one tomorrow. Because that would be would that not be a great product to
That
have?
is a great backpacking gift. And you know what? We should make merchandise that has the Backpacking Podcast logo, and it is a cap for each end.
I tell you, man, we're missing out. We didn't think about this earlier when we were talking about it, but I really feel like if there was a way to have it leak proof, because that's always the problem with it.
Well,
It gets wet. I mean, we all have the mesh bag it goes in. That it's mesh for a reason, so it can drain out as you're hiking, and you always put it in the side. At least most people put it in their side pocket because there's a hole in the bottom of the pocket and it drains out. And you don't have to worry about water gathering around and all that stuff. How awesome would it be that in the cold weather, I'm not worried about the warm weather.
You keep it right here in your little zip, like
Keep
quarter
it
zip,
right up against
chest
your
pocket.
chest. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Well, of course you are, because that's your job, bro.
Yes. So, and I'm not just playing devil's advocate. This is something that I believe. Most of the time, simple is better. And so a lot of people are going to say, and I'm not saying there's not a market for what you're talking about.
I know there's a market.
Yeah, I think there's a market too. But I'm saying there's a lot of people that are going to say Ziploc is one piece. It's very easily replaceable. Those caps are easy to lose, but a Ziploc is probably, in all likelihood, a fraction of the weight. And I can take multiple with me, and it's still a fraction of the weight. And if it fails, they're super inexpensive. So when you're adding more components, it probably driving up the cost a little bit, because what you said, there could be a markup.
Yeah.
They could add 2 pennies to how much they're costing to package it, but then charge you an extra $5.
And genuinely, I get that.
Yeah, and I'm fine with them making money.
But I would never use it in the summer. That's the whole thing. This is strictly a winter item. And you know as well as I do, everything you take winter backpacking is heavier.
Yeah.
Everything you take is heavier. An extra third of an ounce,
not gonna matter.
It does not matter when you're doing wintertime backpacking. It just doesn't matter. And so I still believe, like, for wintertime only, like that's what we're talking about. It's freezing. It's not going to freeze in June.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're like
your higher elevation.
Yeah, 16,000 feet up or something.
Or you're in a different part of the world.
Right. On the other side of the equator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, we're talking about freezing. We're talking about winter. And I think prevention makes the need for the other stuff not matter.
Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. So I think, you know, like the strips, like we talked about, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Having something like you talked, a dye maybe that releases when the fibers break, that might be nice. But the truth is, if you just have a way where you can guarantee it's not going to freeze, that's a whole lot better.
I think that you already have a way, though. You just stick it in a Ziploc, and on top, I get
what you're saying. I understand. No, I agree with you on that. I don't
because
disagree.
that is a solution that you have right now.
But I don't like it in my back and my sleeping bag that way.
No, and you could double Ziploc it, but I'm thinking that I think that for you, it's a bigger issue. It is a bigger issue to you about the leakage than it is to me.
Yeah, I just don't want I don't want to be wet when it's cold.
I don't either, but I have found that one thing you got to do is hold in the O-ring. So if you look at a Sawyer Squeeze, the top is where you screw on like your bottle cap or whatever you're using.
Yeah.
And then the bottom is what screws onto the dirty water intake or outtake or whatever.
Right.
And there's an O-ring in there. If you lose that O-ring and you flip that filter upside down,
it's going everywhere.
Yeah, it just pours out because the O-ring is sealing off that excess water from coming out around the edges. So you have to hold in the O-ring, and then you give it a number of good shakes, and all that water that's still in those fibers, I'm talking like 85% of it comes out of there. So even worst case scenario of the, I don't know how much water's left in it, maybe half an ounce.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's quite a bit, and it's enough that it's going to soak your socks if it gets on them.
Yeah.
If it drains on them. If you shake out all that water, even if it did leak, you're almost getting no wet on you. And for me, it's not a big issue. But it sounds like for you...
Well, the only reason I don't like that is because if it's cold, I don't want my hand getting wet.
I don't want anything getting wet in the cold.
And so I don't want to put my finger over that thing and shake it. I'd rather just put a cap on it and not worry about it anymore.
Yeah, you have to shake both sides too. You got to
Yeah.
shake the water out of the intake part, like the flow.
Yeah.
You got to shake the flow out of both sides of
Like I said,
it.
I'm literally only talking wintertime stuff. So like
Yeah.
any getting wet in the wintertime, I don't like.
And these are only a few solutions that we've talked about. And this is literally like made up on the spot. I mean, like you mentioned, we talked a
Oh
couple of
yeah,
things at lunch earlier.
we're totally
but
spitballing this whole thing, man.
Yes.
This is all spitballing the whole thing. There are gonna be people listening to this thing, and this is the dumbest thing they've ever heard us say in our whole
Yeah.
lives. And you might be right,
Yeah.
but it was entertaining.
And you probably have a better idea that you should either capitalize on or submit to Sawyer so that you can make this product even better than what we have.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things they could do. I think it'd be great if Sawyer made a winter kit for the Sawyer Squeeze, like something, maybe an insulated sleeve for it, or different, just different things. There's things they can do that could help. I think the caps would be great.
Yeah,
but they may think it's a dumb idea, and that's fine. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I mean, when it comes down to it, I use the Be Free anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I have a Be Free as well, but the bag busted on me, and I didn't know that you could just send it back and get a new bag.
Well, and they sell third-party ones that are awesome, that are better than the original.
Yeah, it gotta be better than the original, man, because those taste like you're drinking out of a latex glove, dude.
I've never drank out of the original bag.
Well, you're not missing anything.
I just never have. I bought the what is it? The Hydro Pack Seeker 3-liter.
It's got the same size threads as the Be Free.
Yeah, you just put it right on the end of that, and you got 3 liters of water.
Huh. I don't know, man. But I am excited to see people's take on this episode because I had a lot of fun dissing something I absolutely love and I bought multiple of them. I've used every Sawyer. I could do a completely separate episode because I think the micro is better than the squeeze if you can fix the flow rate. And I think the mini is better than both of them if you can fix the flow rate.
I don't like the mini at all. It reminds me a lot of the Hydro Blue filter. That was actually the first filter I ever used, was the Hydro Blue filter.
Yeah, what'd you not like?
Just the flow rate wasn't great.
So if you fix the flow rate.
Yeah, it's always flow rate. That's why I'm a big fan of Be Free. That flow rate is insane.
And the squeeze is pretty good flow rate too.
Yeah, it's good. But I'm telling you, the Be Free, and a lot of people complain about it clogging up and all that. But dude, I've not had it clogged on me in any trip I've taken.
Yeah.
Because I know some things you can do to keep it from being that way. So
yeah,
it's amazing. But either way, this was fun. I've really enjoyed this. This was Jeremiah's idea, and it was a great idea.
Yeah, we can make a whole series, dude.
And if you've got ideas of gear you want us to do this with,
yeah,
shoot us some ideas, and we'll figure out ways to totally diss the gear, and even know if it's something we love.
Backpacking Podcast on Instagram and
Spotify.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about if you wanted to contact us.
Oh, dude. You can't contact us through Spotify.
No, you can on Anchor.
Yeah, you can on Anchor.
Send voice messages.
Hey, just go to backpackingpodcast.com.
And that'll let you
You can actually leave us a voice message on there, which is kind of fun. We've had a couple, which has been kind of fun.
Just randomly. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
But also, shoot us a message, and if we like it, we may put it on the show.
Yeah, you can add them to the show too. Or just an email.
Yeah.
backpackingpodcast@gmail.com.
But I would like the voice messages personally.
Yeah. Or a quick video DM.
And here's
on
the thing.
Insta.
Here's the thing. If you send us the voice message,
okay,
and we decide to use your piece of gear,
we're gonna get so many voice messages.
Listen to this though. If you send us a voice message and we like your suggestion and we do that as an episode, that voice message will be played during that episode.
At least some of it.
Oh yeah.
At least some of it.
At least. If not all of it. If it's a good one. I mean,
Yeah, if it's good, I'd definitely be willing to play the whole thing.
I think it'd be great. Either way, this was fun. And I'm getting ready to drive to Eastern Kentucky for Thanksgiving right now.
Yeah, man. We record this episode a little early, and Thanksgiving for me starts tomorrow.
Yep. It's crazy, man. Thanksgiving starts for everybody tomorrow because tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
I know, but the episode's coming out closer to Christmas.
It is coming out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, it's been a great episode. And for myself, Ed Jeremiah Stringer, we'll catch you on the next one.
Adios, folks.